All right, let's talk about a war. A massive, hidden war that's being fought right now, every single day, for the food on our plates. And the hero of this story? Well, it's probably not what you're picturing. It's tiny, it's fierce, and it is one of nature's most perfect little assassins.
So think about this for a second. Every year, huge armies of pests threaten to wipe out entire harvests. So how do you fight back? What's the best weapon? You might think it's some powerful new chemical spray, but what if the answer was something else entirely? Something alive.
Okay, first, you have to meet the villains of our story. And these are not your garden variety caterpillars. We're talking about a most wanted list for farmers everywhere. The fall armyworm, the Grandpog borer, the tobacco caterpillar. These guys are absolute eating machines, plowing through fields of maize, cotton, and vegetables, and causing millions upon millions of dollars in damage. And that brings us right to the battlefield, because that's what our agricultural fields are. They're in a constant state of war. And in this fight, we desperately need a new kind of soldier.
So get this, the secret weapon that's being deployed in these fields isn't a pesticide at all. It's this, a tiny parasitoid wasp. I know, it seems totally unlikely, right? But trust me, its methods are nothing short of brutally efficient.
So it's time to formally introduce our special agent. You see, in pest control, when you use one living thing to fight another, it's called the bioagent. And this one? Well, this one has a very impressive resume.
Let's pull up the official file. The agent's name is Bracon brevicornis. It's an insect, part of the Hymenoptera order. That's the same group as bees and ants. But its family, the Braconidae, is famous for one thing, being parasitoids. These are nature's specialists in targeted takedowns.
And just like any good assassin, it has a very specific hit list. Its main targets? The very same villains we met earlier, the fall armyworm and all its destructive cousins. See, Bracon is a specialist. It goes after the larvae of moths and butterflies, which, of course, we just call caterpillars.
So the big question is, how on earth does a wasp this small take down a caterpillar that's many, many times its size? Well, it's all about its superpower. Its method of attack is unique, and it is seriously effective. It's a chillingly perfect three-step process. First, the female wasp hones in on a caterpillar. Then, and here's where it gets wild, she lays her eggs right on the outside of the pest's body. And finally, the mission is complete. Her larvae hatch and start feeding on the host from the outside in, completely neutralizing the threat. And here is the absolute game changer. The crop damage stops almost instantly. As soon as that wasp does its thing, the caterpillar is paralyzed. It can no longer eat. For a farmer trying to save their crop, that is a massive, massive win. Okay, and believe it or not, there's a fancy scientific name for this incredible strategy. Idiobiont ectoparasitism. Whoa, sounds complicated, right? But it's actually simple. Ecto just means outside, and parasitism is one organism living on another. It's just the official term for our wasp's amazing external attack style. Now, of course, like any specialist agent, Bracon brevicornis has its own set of strengths and weaknesses. It's not a magic fix for everything, but it's a powerful tool when you know how to use it. Let's look at the mission debrief. Okay, on the plus side, it's totally eco-friendly and completely safe for us humans. It's a powerhouse against pests that have grown resistant to chemicals, and it leaves other good bugs like bees totally unharmed. But it does have its limits. It's a bit sensitive to really hot or cold weather, you have to release them at exactly the right time, and it works best on younger, smaller caterpillars. So, knowing all that, where does this tiny wasp fit into the bigger picture of farming? Well, it turns out it's a star player in a much smarter, more sustainable way of doing things. And that approach is called Integrated Pest Management, or IPM for short. The whole idea behind IPM is that you don't rely on just one single solution. Instead, you use a whole toolbox of strategies that work together. And our bioagent, Bracon brevicornis, it's a key member of that team. And this is why it really matters. IPM helps us dramatically cut down on chemical pesticides, which is great for the environment. It helps keep the ecosystem in balance, and it supports a way of growing food that we can actually sustain for the long haul. You can even combine bioagents like our wasp with other natural methods to create this really powerful layered defense. So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, when there's a pest problem, farmers will release somewhere between 500 and 1,000 of these adult wasps for every single acre. They're essentially unleashing a tiny army of assassins to create a living, breathing, targeted defense system for their crops.
Which brings us all the way back to that first big question. Can a tiny army of wasps really save our food? The answer isn't a simple yes or no, but it makes one thing incredibly clear. In the complex war for our food, sometimes the most powerful solutions really do come in the smallest packages. This little assassin shows us that the future of farming might depend a lot less on chemistry and a whole lot more on nature itself.